So I just had this epiphany about trying to move forward in life, and this applies to us all. Each person has their individual different pathways, but there seems to be a collective similar way that we all deal with things. Like, in other words, we collectively all deal with the same 7 emotions. We all collectively deal with the rise of sexual energies, how sexual energies kind of dictate a lot of your thinking unconsciously at a young age. Then the hormones, when you hit about 50 or 55, it starts to slow down, and you start thinking in a more simple way in life. I'm just giving you an example of how collectively, no matter how, there's different stories, different pathways and things like that, but collectively, how we deal with things in a similar way, okay? So with using that example, I want to talk about how this applies to us all on moving forward, the frustration that we feel in trying to move forward, the blockages. You know, sometimes it feels like it takes years. It feels like you're doing 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 forward, 2 back, right? 3 forward, 2 back, right? And this is kind of frustrating. And then, you know, when you beat yourself up, the energetic charge with that creates some whole other habit in you to beat yourself up, which resonates with other negative energy in you, which is now blocking you even more, right? Because that relates to the resist, persist. Beat yourself up. Oh man, I'm not move forward and all that. Somehow you strengthen on an unconscious level when you do the slip up again, or what you feel is a slip up, not living to your discipline or your regimen, whatever. Then you're creating a stronger energetic charge, and this can really like sap your willpower, like zap it and bring you down. And now you got cross associations of when you're trying to move forward, how hard it is, how negative it is, how, man, it's not worth it, right? So let me get to the point. Sometimes I feel like not every video has to be 15 minutes. Sometimes it might be better if I drop things more concise and more quick, especially with my kind of cerebral mind where I have the tendency to sidetrack. But let's get to it. When we want to moving forward for us all, we have our idealized kind of version of ourselves. Like, what's the idealized version of yourself? You know, some people may say, you know what, I moved to Nebraska, I moved to North Carolina, got a nice house with my wife. I got my ideal trade job that I love while I'm building my entrepreneur job on the side. I don't know how much this is going to interfere with the damn recording. It's got a perfect timing. Jesus. Right? So, you live with your wife and you do your exercise regimen perfect. You're in perfect health, eating the most highest organic foods, happy, you're part of community kind of meetups. And for most part, right, that's a very balanced life, right? Some people, it may differ. Some people may be materialistic delusions within it, But that's for each man on his own to find out if you're harboring delusions on what happiness is supposed to be, or joy. But let's say that, whatever your goals is, I realized something. And I bet you this applied to like 1 billion people on the planet, or probably 5 billion people on the planet. That the ego is so tricky, right? You notice how like I'm trying to say epiphany, and I think even nature could be controlled by like certain forces trying to block what you saying or some shit. Malevolent jinn in the air and something. First the helicopter when I'm trying to say something important, now the ducks, the geese. But I realized that the ego is very tricky. It's very tricky, and it'll have you going in circles, entertaining all kinds of new age classes, new self-development books, motivational speaking, events, just, and indeed doing these things is still giving you some good energy, right? It's better than just saying going to raving coke parties, sniffing coke and bashing your head with beer cans, or you know what I'm saying? And I'm not judging that, because when you're young, sometimes you gotta experience wild things like that. I think that's fun too. Yeah, I said it, and you pass through those vibrations. As long as you're not doing that until you're 50, something wrong there. But anyway, it's like how can I say this? So our mind would take us on all kinds of trips and trying to add on. You ever been to somebody's house and they got every single new self-help book that's out? A lot of times I look at this like you can see that this person is kind of stuck in a intellect state, is not really touching the heart and being transformed within as an internal truth for them to just, because when you get hit with an epiphany the right way, it's supposed to be translated not only in your mind, but your heart. And then even in your solar plexus, like, whoa, it just hits you different. Okay? It's like the difference of reading a book about karate. Somebody could read a book to the T, how to do the katas, how to do this block and this and that, and it'll sound all good when you sit next to somebody on train. But somebody who really know the moves and been doing the moves, total difference. But let me get concise with this. The ego would have us, it'll even interfere on a spiritual path to have you adopting more practices. But for the majority of people, I guarantee you this, you take 4 billion people on the planet, and whether that person just goes through a process of clearing out their body with the highest foods, detoxifying their organs, sitting for about 30 days in pure nature and silence and let the epiphanies come from within, whether they do it that way or whether they have the assistance of the grace of a certain spiritual master or a guru that can, with their third eye, really tell that person what they need. It's usually about 2 or 3 things you need to be doing. Not no 17 things, this new class and these new exercises and this new book and this and that. That's the ego's trick to fucking try to keep you spinning and going in circles instead of the 3 major things that you should be doing to transform your life. It's usually about 3 or 4. It's not even 5 things. And if you sit and you investigate your life and give yourself 3 weeks, man, to eat pure, cleanse out the body and sit in nature, sit in quietness, right? Forget about reading so many books. You can start your morning with inspirational, your favorite self-help gurus and stuff like that, self-development coaches and all that. But even just give that a rest, man, and just journal. Journaling is very important, especially at the end of the day. And then it'll come to you about the 3 things you need to do to unblock yourself. Now, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Let me see how many minutes. I said I was going to try to go under 15, but it's about to probably reach that. Whatever, it is what it is, because I'm on a roll here. And a lot of the times, for the majority of us human beings, is a few things that's stopping us from moving forward. I'm going to say it just like this. Sacrifices, discipline, and focus. It's those 3 things that's, I guarantee you, when it comes to the sacrifices, we claim we want to move forward, but we're harboring some kind of behavior or identity, behavior, habits that we don't want to fully let go. We might let it go 50%. Why you ain't let it go 100% yet? Well, I'm getting there, I'm weaning down, right? And that's understandable. Some things is necessary to wean down if the energetic charge is so strong for, you're doing something for 25 years, overnight, it's there may be 1% of people on the planet who could just have that strong will to just completely let it go. But that's understandable. But we have to be honest with ourselves and measure and be truthful on are we doing our best to let go of that thing as best as we could. So you only gave up 50, but you probably got more in you to give it up 75 or close to that 80. Stop giving yourself excuses. So it's about sacrificing, this whole universe and life is about sacrifices. Something is sacrificed and something else grows out of that all the time. I don't got to give it the Big Bang. Universes crumble, they get sucked into a black hole, and out on the other side, a whole nother universe being created. You know what I'm trying to say? Those principles of Shiva and Anubis and Mut. That's the earth deity of like the vulture, which recycles energies, right? Sacrifice. I gotta start speeding up now. I got 2 more. Discipline. Discipline is once you make that decision of what's going to be the sacrifices, holding to the regimen and the lifestyle, holding to it to the highest degree. You may have little slip-ups, but as much as possible, if you could give you 100% on that regimen you said you're going to do, this habit, these new pattern and cultivating this new mindset and staying to that's the discipline. And then that takes focus, of course. Focus is always remembering that how you're cultivating the discipline, how you cultivating discipline, the right mindset, reminding yourself of, when a old pattern of thinking tries to come back, how, nope, I'm going to hold to this is the thing that I sacrificed, right? So this all takes focus and ideally a certain kind of regimen to have like a habitual pattern. Okay, so I'm gonna just wrap it up right here. Trying to go at the 15-minute mark. So take heed. I could do a part 2 since I gotta wrap this up so quick. Once again, this is Lucid Dreamer with another video, self-development. All right. So I'll do a short part 2 to follow up on this since I gotta abruptly cut this. Peace.